Greetings, chess fans. Hope you are having a lovely day wherever you are. We are continuing the coverage from New York City, the GM Norm Invitational Round Robin Closed Tournament honoring the Labor Day, which is celebrated tomorrow in United States. I'm going to be your host for the event as usual, as in the previous rounds. I'm Latvian Grandmaster Artonations. It is my pleasure to meet you. I've been coaching Levy for the past couple of months, and it is essentially my job to make sure that he will get one of his most important career achievements, which is the Grandmaster title. So today we are going to follow his round 6 game in the tournament. He is playing with the black color, most likely a Karakan is incoming, but in store for today there are going to be 2 games. So the tournament still obviously continues with double rounds. And as all of you are probably perfectly aware of, Levy is clearly struggling in this tournament. So that's why, once again, on behalf of Levy, I would like to thank to all of you who is following him and posting really some amazing comments. You know, it was so nice to read them, right? So this is pretty much a low point of the journey so far, but we are gonna get over it, right? So I watched actually earlier today this very nice inspirational video from Rocky Balboa, right, where Sly is talking. I mean, Rocky obviously is talking with his son and delivering this motivational speech that no matter how hard it is, right? Because life keeps delivering you punches, it keeps you beating down, and it's very important to keep moving on, right? You just take those hits and you keep moving on. So everything is good. Everything is good. So I talked with Levy a bit. Obviously, he was not really in the mood yesterday. Today, he feels much more relaxed. He's, of course, gonna give it a try. One more shot, of course. And we're in for a treat. All right. Let me see if I can already show you the camera because there's 15-minute delay. Just a second, maybe not yet. Let's wait a couple of minutes and then we are gonna jump into the action because the games are broadcasted with a 15-minute delay. This is done due to the fair play reasons. Why is this? Because nowadays there's unfortunately some players who would like to use unfair advantage by either broadcasting of the games or mobile devices, and that's why one of the safety features to make sure, at least to prohibit this happening, is to delay the transmission of the games. I do have the live video feed from the board because Levy has gotten a permission from the tournament organizers to transmit the video feed, but I'm gonna manually scroll it back for 15 minutes so that we can synchronize it with the incoming moves. So the game already has played again with 15-minute delay. We are gonna get our moves in about 8 minutes, 8 or 9 minutes. And then obviously I'm not gonna spoiler you what is happening in real time because I also won't know, right? I'm right now, I'm not looking what they're doing. And it's gonna be great, right? By the way, I also would like to congratulate all of you with officially with the start of the first day of the autumn, or as Americans say, fall, right? The summer is officially over. This means the school starts. All of the kids who are going to school, they're probably like, yay, we're going to school, right? I imagine everyone is so excited that the summer is officially over, so you get a chance to go to school, meet your friends, etc. Maybe somebody doesn't really. Okay, let me see if I think I can already do it. Just a second. Yeah, I think everything is almost ready. Switching in a moment. All right, here we go. Here we go. So, Levy has half a point out of 5. Terrible start? Yes. Yes, it is what it is. But life continues. There's no need to dwell on the negative thoughts. It's time to move on, learn some of the lessons, keep working. But wait, Levy can't really wait to work again on chess. You know, in the middle of the tournament, he is constantly, we always keep in touch, of course, and he's constantly texting me, this is the thing we have to improve, this is the thing we have to improve. You know, he can't really wait. And yesterday, he also tweeted this very powerful tweet that he's not giving up. So that was pretty nice. And yeah, today he faces Samruk Narayanan, a FIDE master from United States. His rating is more or less the same as Levy's. And obviously, we have prepped for the game. When we were doing overview of every single player, I noticed that Samruk is a fine positional player. He really likes to, you know, keep it simple. He knows where to position the pieces. So Samruk plays e4. So guess what? Another Karakan is incoming, unless there's going to be a surprise. There's Levy, by the way, sitting at the board. You see, he's smiling. Everything is good. Yeah, he's smiling. Actually, you know, I suggested to him to get some of the best coffee in New York City, enjoy it while playing the game, and not think about obviously the terrible start of the tournament. No need to do that. So my advice was just think of this game as a sparring game. It's a sparring game. Play it easier. Play it sometimes like some of the moves like blitz moves. Smile. People are supporting you. So it's good. It's good. One of the hard lessons, obviously, but life continues. Everything is good. So Samruk is a positional player, and I noticed that he quite doesn't handle well sharper positions. So the plan for this game is to slightly try to be more dynamic. Yes, we're going to try to do that, and there's a plan. We are not sure if it's going to work, but we'll see. So Samruk is pretty predictable player. He really likes what he plays. And actually, this is something that also Levy could take notes from, is that you trust your openings. Like, for example, Kyron Griffith, good friend of Levy's, he played against him in round number, which round was it? 4, which was yesterday. Yeah, time flies very fast. Also, Kyron was playing the same system over and over and over. This is, I think, in general, a good sign. I've been talking with Levy about this. Is just it's okay, you know, you play your systems over and over. You try to surprise your opponent here and there, but you trust your setups. And Samruk is one of those guys. So we'll see. We'll see how it's going to go. The time control of the game is 90 minutes for the entire game. This is a classical game. This is a GM Norm tournament. Obviously, answering the question over and over, which is asked. Levy cannot make a Grandmaster Norm in this tournament. I think it's pretty obvious already, right? If you have a terrible start, what kind of norm we're talking about. Now, the most important thing, the goal, is to get over this tournament. That's it. If possible, score some wins, fine. But the most important thing is limit the damage, stop the bleeding, get the game, feel the rhythm, and focus on working. So as I was saying, the time control is 90 minutes for the entire game. There's no second time control. There's extra 30 seconds per every main move. And this is a round-robin tournament where 10 players, they're playing against each other. So there's three Grandmasters. They're invited to give a chance for title seekers as Levy, as Kyron, his friend, some other players to fight for the norm. By the way, there's a couple of very talented American kids playing the tournament. Obviously, it's happening in New York City. So it's a tough one. I mean, there's no easy opponents, naturally, right? So as Levy already said this in one of the recaps, I forgot which one, I've seen all of them. He said that it doesn't matter how you play, you just get more or less the same level opponent the next day. So it's every day, it's something in between from 2300 to 2500. There's no rest, and it's double rounds. The tournament venue is Marshall Chess Club. which is one of the oldest chess clubs in United States. It was founded back in 1915 by one of the American chess legends, Frank Marshall. That's the name you should know if you're American. He was fighting for the World Championship title in the beginning of 20th century. Never became world champion, but still was considered to be one of the greatest players in the world that time. And there's the opponent. You see, he smiles, he greets the opponent, and the game is about to start. All right. There's also another tournament running in the background. You're not seeing it, obviously. There's a lot of room for tournaments. There's another, the so-called Labor Day Swiss tournament running. I haven't really checked who is leading that tournament. We're focusing on Levy's performance, obviously. And speaking about this tournament, I believe there were a couple of leaders. Let me check it. I think Kyron Griffith was one of them who was having a very good run. He had 4 points out of 5. Let me check it. I was looking at this. I forgot already. Mark Paragua also has 4 points out of 5. And yesterday, Levy lost against Oliver Barbosa. This game he wants to forget. He has 3.5 points. So he played essentially the leaders. And now, at least nominally, he has the easier opponent. Also, huge shout out to everyone who is sending positive vibes on Levy's Twitch and YouTube chats. I'm monitoring them. I will not have a chance to respond to every single message that you're writing there. I have the windows open, so I'm seeing, for example, random questions like, I think Levy's style is more like the great Korchnoi. So the frog in the well, just wrote it. Yeah, I'm following what you're saying there. It's just not always I'm going to read it out. So in case you have some interesting questions, I'm going to read it. And maybe I can answer some of your questions about training process, etc. What needs to be done. And let's keep it a friendly atmosphere. Also, by the way, I'm streaming on my own Twitch channel. If you want, you can check it out. My username is GMNations. I'm also posting video recaps on my own YouTube channel. Same username, GMNations. You can find me everywhere by the same handle. I've posted recaps so far with every single game. And by the way, E4 is on the board. So on this big board on the left, we are going to analyze the game. On the right, the blue screen, the blue board is the live board, as it literally is written there. All right, the characters on the board. Samrock really likes his opening choices. E5, we expected this. The plan is to play C5. Maybe Levy has some final last-minute thoughts, because sometimes when you sit at the board, you suddenly start to feel differently. The plan is to play C5 and try to sharpen up the game. Mainly, Samrock was choosing in his previous repertoire, he was choosing between e takes on d5, the exchange, Karakan, and e5. e5 nowadays is like a golden standard. Everybody, unfortunately, plays this. And the main reason why this is happening, because the move knight c3 is kind of obsolete. I mean, okay, maybe somebody is gonna disagree that knight c3 is the way to play. But the understanding of this line has evolved, mainly because of knight f6. So obviously here black has a number of choices. Levy could play bishop f5, Levy could play knight e7, knight f6, and knight f6. But to my understanding, knight f6 is the reason why this line is no longer so popular. So for example, something like 10, 15 years ago, this setup was considered to be slightly better for white. So white will play c3, bishop d3, queen c2, knight e2, and essentially have an extra pawn at the queen side. You know, in a nutshell, we just trade every single piece. We go to an endgame where you just enjoy an extra pawn on the queen side. But it's actually not so simple. So nowadays, this e5 is getting more popular, mainly because of lack of alternatives. E takes on d5 is at the highest level, mainly played at accelerated time controls. Because the point is, I'm sorry, let me show it to you. The point is here is that white is aiming for the so-called cosplay structure. It's a very simple plan, and when you don't have a lot of time to think about the choices, you want to play simple moves. That's why this line, mainly, at least at the highest level, is played at accelerated time control games like Rapid and Blitz, but in classical chess, the world elite plays like e5 90%. So Levy plays c5. This is the idea is to play knight c6 and try to undermine white center. So it does look quite similar to the French defense, like e6, d4, d5, e5, c5, c3, knight c6 in some way. But you see black has some issues with the Lascaux bishop. It's not doing much. So black is dreaming about a potential scenario to get the knight out, to get the bishop out, and only then play e6. So if white, let's say, plays something like c3, white goes here, black would play bishop g4 and e6. This is essentially, from a strategical point of view, a dream setup for black. So that's why Sombrook played knight f3. This is modern stuff. So he doesn't really mind that Levy takes on d4. So c takes on d4 happened, knight e4 happened, knight c6 happened. Yeah, and this I think was still the prep. I quite don't remember. I mean, we did this before the tournament, obviously, all of these lines. I really don't remember the specific continuations. Is this something we looked at? Because Levy has a couple of continuations here. He has bishop g4, he has knight c6, he has a6, and knight c6 was one of them. Alright, so he played knight c6 and hit the center. Also, by the way, white can play queen d4. There's also this tricky line, queen d4 and queen f4. Pretty interesting, by the way. So knight c6, takes. Black has a nice pawn structure, open b file. Maybe he can activate the rook. And bishop e3. You know, I don't really think that this is an opening success for white. I mean, you see the bar immediately, for some reason, changed the valuation in favor for black slightly, but I don't think this is a way how white is fighting for an advantage, right? White gives up the center, opens up the b file, solidifies the center, so even if Levy at some point he can play e6, c5, for example, something like this, yeah? Even this is okay, immediately okay, so black is, let's say, we trade the bishops here, bishop d7, queen d7, castles, knight knight h6, knight e2. This looks just great. So mainly Levy here is like surprised. I mean, he has a pretty easy game here, and he can choose whatever he wants. I mean, just to show you a couple of ideas, you could easily play queen c7. You hit a pawn. After f4, you could continue normal development. Bring out the bishop, let's say bishop f5. White does whatever. You play e6, I don't know, c5, knight c6, bishop e7, etc. You can play many things. Another idea, after f4, you could play f6. You could be ambitious, spicy up things. So the point is, after e takes on f6, again, there's ways how to make it exciting. You can play knight f6. This pawn feels a bit weakened. g6, bishop g7, bishop f5. Unbalanced game. Exactly what Levy is looking for. So I would seriously consider this. And then you also have the typical trick in the Caro-Kann, bishop a6, which feels like a blunder, but the point is to play queen a5 check. And let's say play queen a6, e6, c5, sort of solve that problem of the terrible Lascaux bishop and get a game. So there might be other moves as well. There might be something like knight h6, you know, I like this move as well. So knight h6, threaten to play knight g4, knight f5, and if white decides to take on h6, g takes on h6. By the way, this is something that Levy did not do in one of the previous rounds. The weight room is saying, Arthur, you sound like you're losing your voice from all the commentating. Yeah, I have noticed it myself. Yeah, it is getting a bit darker, is it not? Yes, yes, yes. I'm losing my voice. So one of these games that Levy played previously in the tournament, I think it was something like this: E4 C6, D4 D5, and what was it? I already don't remember. But I mean, there was this one game when something like this happened, and it was, I think, against Chirilov, round two. I already don't remember the moves. I mean, you have to pardon me. Something like this, whatever. No, wait. Wait. No, it was bishop 5. Yes, bishop 5, h4, a6, h5, c5, d takes, knight c6. No, I remember. Knight f3. No, maybe it was bishop e3. Bishop e3, e6, knight f3, bishop g4. And here, Levy had the chance to play knight h6. He did not do it. Or maybe that was very similar. Like here, I think at some point he took on e5 and created the pin. So he had this moment to play knight h6. You know, allowing to double the pawns, but he opens up the g file and creates a lot of unbalances. Now I'm thinking this could be the perfect moment to follow the pattern. I should get some lemon, yeah? Honey with lemon. Yeah, I think I should, yeah. I just got myself a tea. I noticed this actually yesterday. I'm losing my voice. So I hope that it's gonna stay until the end of the tournament, and then I don't care. Yeah, then I have a. And then I'm gonna play in the World Chess Olympiad in Budapest, and I don't need my voice. I can just play muted. So Levy's thinking. I like knight h6. I hope he plays knight h6. You know, we have to work a bit about some of the positions in the middle game. A typical plans thinks how to unbalance, how to get the interesting game. Obviously, Levy is not maybe playing his best chess, which probably is an understatement. We know that. But this is a position he has basically never seen before. What openings do I play myself in classical? I play Sicilian, mainly. And I think we are gonna work on some Sicilian. I'm not sure what. What kind of Sicilian? We're gonna play something sharper. There's a couple of ideas what we could do. I don't really think that Levy has decided. So many setups we haven't yet tried. I mean, Levy has now a very serious choice playing openings. Against e4, at the moment, he only plays the Karakan. There's going to be more openings. Against d4, he plays Queen's Gambit Decline. There's going to be more openings. You haven't yet seen it all. So, and then for a while, we are going to leave it alone. The most important thing here is not to oversit. Like, I don't think that Levy feels that this is a dangerous position. Just try to unbalance. Queen c7, knight h6. I would play knight h6 to be honest, but queen c7 would be looking really good. I don't think this trade is so good as I mentioned. It looks fancy, but I have my doubts that this is a bad bishop. I'm pretty sure it's a good bishop. How is he already out of the prep? There's the question on YouTube, because bishop e3 is a suboptimal move. You play a suboptimal move you've never seen before, you're out of the prep. That's how it goes. Even f6 is a move here. Why not? Why not f6? You know, f6, e takes an f6, knight f6, e5. Looks legit. g6, bishop g7 also is a move. e5. There's so many good moves. I just hope that he's not gonna treat this too standard, because the pre-tournament plan for this game was to spicy up. Again, obviously, we reviewed our options before the game. And still, Levy said, I want to play a bit something more interesting. Is rook b8 good? There's a question. Yeah, it's a move. But then again, you leave the pawn on a7 somewhere under attack in some lines. So rook b8 could be a move. By the way, there's this trick. After bishop a7, you drop the bishop, right? This will be bad. So rook b8, hit the pawn. White could play many things. White could play, I don't know, b3 looks a bit weird. Maybe some aggressive c4 for some reason. And then play a gambit. Oh, sorry, not bishop b7. Rook b2 and queen a4 or something. Maybe this could be a move. I don't know. By the way, I'm not using an engine. I've said this so many times in the broadcast, so I think it doesn't really hurt to repeat. If somebody's thinking I'm using an engine, I'm just not telling you. No, I'm not using an engine. I could share my screen. I could show you there is no engine. Whenever I'm using it, I announce it. I switch it on, because usually this happens in a time scramble. We have no time to try to guess the moves. And then, yes, then I switch on the engine, I announce it, and we follow it. Why I'm not doing it? Why I'm not using an engine? Because I believe that it just distracts. And I'm one of the guys, like, I've done so much commentary before, and it just distracts me. If it was up to me, I would also remove the evaluation bar. You know, I don't need it, because I have a pretty good feeling about the position. And also, I think that the players, they... I mean, obviously, I do not think I know that the players have no access to the evaluation bar. So this allows me to explain a bit better what they're thinking about, right? And that's why you're becoming very biased. If you're seeing an engine, if you're seeing the evaluation bar, like, oh, the evaluation bar dropped, what just happened, right? That's why I don't like it. But it's for you. The evaluation bar, the viewers, it's for you, so that you understand. You can very quickly have a glance at the evaluation bar, and you understand who is doing better. It's not for me, it is for you. So at the moment, the engine, I mean, I don't see the engine, but the bar, it says the black is slightly better. That's all you need to know. f6 and knight f6 looks spicy. Knight h6 looks spicy. Yes, I agree. Yeah, I don't like this. It's a bit too modest move, but okay, it's a move. I mean, this bishop is not bad, because it can always go out to a6, bishop b7, c5, or bishop d7, c5, but I still would have preferred, I would have preferred this knight h6. Play a bit non-standard chess. You know, knight h6, threaten to go here. For example, white would go, I don't know, let's say bishop h6, g takes on h6, white would go here. You would go queen c7, hit the pawn, f4, and queen b6. I would be looking for ways to unbalance the position. And if white doesn't take it, if white plays bishop e2, I want to play knight f5, I want to hit on e3, You play bishop f4, I play queen b6. You know, hit the pawn, you play b3. I have some maybe interesting options like g5, you know, bishop g5 and rook g8. I would use the creativity here, right? So I'm hitting the bishop, hitting the pawn, and, you know, try to get a game. But again, I think for this you need to have a pretty good feeling. When you're not really feeling well yourself, it's not so easy to play such improvised chess. So this is, I would think, probably the most. And the second idea, I was thinking this f6. So I'm not sure, do you need to provoke the pawn on f4? Maybe you do. And now you play f6. And knight f6 probably. And white will play something like bishop e2. And I will play g6, bishop g7, castles, bishop f5, and we're cooking, right? But okay, I mean, e6 is a move. So typically here, I think white's plan is to play moves like bishop e2, f4, and c4. Knight e2 played. So Samruk is pretending that this is a prep, but I do not think this is a prep. I mean, there's no way that he prepped this position and he thinks it's doing really great. Maybe he has seen something before, so I think he's slightly bluffing here, applying pressure against Levy. So 1 hour and 31 minutes. He knows that Levy's performing well. So he wants him to think that this is prep. This is not prep. I don't think so. It doesn't look like a prep to me. So what I would do, I would catch the bluff. By the way, Samruk himself is doing pretty well in this tournament. He has 2.5 points out of 5, 50% result. He has won 1 game, lost 1 game, and made a couple of draws. 97, Levy played very quickly. All right, it's a move. It's not a huge difference. You know, I mean, this knight h6 or f6 or knight e7, ultimately you see the bar says, now white is slightly better, black was slightly better. The difference is 0.4, etc. In an opening, dear viewers, it does not matter. It does not matter. f6 might be still doable. Yes. Oh, my video feed is gone. Courtesy of Marshall Cheslov Wi-Fi. All right. So maybe bishop d3. Stopping knight f5 and knight g6. So Levy could play maybe I don't know what he wants to do here. Knight f5? Does he want to play knight f5? I'm blundering something. What I'm blundering? Oh! You lose a piece. Okay, I mean, white doesn't really have to do that. So, knight f5 is Levy's idea. But again, I mean, you don't need e6 for that. That's why you play knight h6. By the way, I have noticed in previous Levy's games, in the Caro, I haven't seen him playing knight h6 at all. So I think that he underestimates the power of this idea, which is a pretty common idea in the French, also sometimes in the Caro. And this e6, it limits black's opportunity. That's what I don't like it. It's a bit like a very, very slow move. It's like a solid move but a slow move at the same time. So knight e7 and probably still bishop d3. Well, the other option is to play knight g6. White's going to play f4. Maybe there's ideas like c5. But typically here white plays c4. This is the big idea. Typically. Ah, wait, again I'm blundering. I'm sorry, I'm silly today. But normally the idea here, I'm blundering the pawn on f4. Normally the idea here is white want to fix those pawns, put the bishop on d3, and anchor the knight on e4. Let's say we would get this position, like this position. White is quite happy. He could play maybe remove the bishop, put the knight on d3, or maybe even queen d3, play b3, and then focus on the king side. And black bishop on b7 is pretty passive. It's not doing anything. How do I know this? I know this from some Tamanov lines. Oh, sorry. This is what I played myself a lot. What was it? Here, 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 here. Bishop d3, d5. I used to play this. So black will play, white will play here, knight f6, e5, knight e7, or maybe it was rook e1 first, I really don't remember. Bishop e7, e5 here, and there's a typical idea to play knight f4, c4. And again, black at some point will play c5, white will play c4, black will play d4, b3, knight b2, knight e3. Right? So it kind of rings a bell. And then you look at this position, like bishop d3, here, 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 here. Looks pretty similar, right? That was kind of Taimanov. Okay, Taimanov is technically with the pawn on c7. I don't know what it was. Taimanov usually is e6, knight c6. This was hybrid. All right. Getting to 2500 is gonna be pain. Blue Vega writes on Twitch. It's not gonna be easy. Yes. It's a long road. It's gonna take us years. The viewers, we are aware. There will be setbacks. So I would expect at least 3 years. I don't think it's going to be any sooner. It could be even longer. Levy is still young. He's talented. He's very motivated. And he has the means to do it. So, all the requirements to do it. Bishop d3 is on the board. How much harder do I think is going to be to get the rating instead of the GM norms? Weight Room is asking on Twitch. I think it's going to be the hardest. Because what does it mean, a GM norm? You enter a tournament, essentially, and you play the tournament of your life. Like, you play really great like in Madrid. So if in Madrid, Levy was a bit luckier, he would have gotten already the first GM norm. That's it. You get the first GM norm. And you get 3 GM norms. That's it. So all you need to get the rating. But the rating is, he has a major disadvantage. He needs, at the moment, 130 points plus the losses in this tournament, which is about, I'm not sure, 17 points, more or less. So the current regulations to get the Grandmaster title, I think Levy made a video about this, but I can just break it down very quickly for you. There are 4 requirements. 4. First three, they're norms, but again, they're like split in 2 parts. So you need to get 3 Grandmaster norms. It means you show up in an international tournament that is rated by the International Chess Federation. You play against title players, against minimal 3 Grandmasters. You show a certain performance, which is rating 2600. You're playing like a 2600 Grandmaster. At 2600 Grandmaster strength. And that's when you get the norm. But there's a requirement that one of the norms has to come from open tournaments. Why? Well, because a couple of years ago, FIDE apparently was quite unhappy that Abhimanyu Mishra got all the norms in Budapest round-robin tournaments that are designed to give a chance for title-seeded players to get the norm. And FIDE felt that this system can be abused. I mean, Mishra was not at fault. He simply used the rules that are there. And FIDE felt that we have to, adjust. So that's why ever since, I believe 2021 or 22, maybe 22, there's a new rule that you need to get 1 norm from open tournament. And that's why Levy played in Spilimbergo. Where's the last move, by the way? I'm not getting it. I think I have a video delay a bit. All right. For some reason, I lost like 3 minutes of video feed. I don't know why. So one thing you have to understand, Levy is not gonna go the easy way. So if there are suggestions, go to Budapest, or somebody wrote in the chat, go to Serbia, play against older opponents that you can farm, etc. He doesn't want to do that. He wants to play strong tournaments. He wants to prove no discounts for him. No easier requirements. That's why he's playing in these tournaments. He's playing against the talented kids. He's playing here in New York City against some of the talented kids. Okay, somebody might have to say, yeah, that's a mistake. You should play against somebody else. No, Levy doesn't think like that. He thinks I want to take on the best, So in this tournament, there are some of the most talented American kids, like there's James Chirilov, by the way, who is also a streamer, streaming on Twitch. He's, how old is he? 16 and rated 2400. There's Lion Putnam, also about 16 and over 2400. So he's not looking for the easier way. He wants to do it properly. It does really rule out at some point, indeed, to playing in one of those special tournaments where it's easier to get it, but he doesn't want to do it. This is a challenge. All right. Levy is thinking where to put the knight. Knight f5 or knight g6? I do not know. Maybe knight g6 with the idea to play f4 and now play c5. This looks pretty reasonable. And if you play c4, d4, there's the pawn hanging, so white can play c3 maybe. Bishop b7, castles. let's say something like knight f3, a5, bishop e7. I think black is completely okay. Maybe here white wants to play g3, h4, h5 to tickle the knight on g6. Yeah, this word tickle. Fellow commentator and streamer Keti Tsatsalaashvili told me this. Yeah, you have to tickle the knight on g6. Never thought about it that way. Tickling the knight. Knight g6 is on the board. a5, bishop a6 could be a move. But then again, I'm not sure that this is a bad bishop. Because Levy needs to formulate, is this a bad bishop or a good bishop? I think it's a good bishop. You give it a long diagonal. Bishops best operate in long diagonals. Can you say hi when I am in Budapest? Lovely Pondarino is asking. Say hi. No issues with that. But I think the Worcester Olympiad is going to be pretty closed event. Unless you are playing there. You can come and say hello. I don't mind it. f4 should be happening. I mean, this move, by the way, makes no sense. Bishop g6, 8. What? Engine even supports this? No, wait, no way, no way. I mean, why is this? Because you don't want to ever give up the bishop for no good reason. And by the way, this is where you are. Definitely, you can improve the viewers. You're often thinking, the knight and bishop, they're the same, right? They're valued 3. No, they're not. Bishops are worth more. So I actually really like this. I think it actually comes from the Russian school of chess, where they teach kids that the bishop is worth 3.5, not 3. Because the position at some point opens up, and most of the time the position does open up, and the bishop becomes a stronger piece. Like, it feels like this is a bad bishop, but you're going to give it a long diagonal, and suddenly it becomes the strongest piece on the board. Fischer was the first to say that. Maybe Fischer learned it from the Soviet chess, because he was studying a lot of Soviet chess. I don't really know who originally said it. Maybe it doesn't matter. So that's why for white, giving up the bishop for no good reason, it's just not good. Like, take it, and you play castles, and c5, and you play c4, and I play d4, and now suddenly look at this monster on b7. It's controlling a long diagonal. This knight on d2 is no opposition. Bobby once said that becoming a GM is harder than getting a PhD in mathematics. Really? I don't have a PhD. Never really gave it a try. But yeah, I suppose it makes sense, right? Yeah, it does make sense. No, I have never really thought about it. It's an interesting thought. I'll drink 3 and think about it. All right, Queen h5. This is good news. Narayanan, he's charging forward. This is good news. The queen on h5 is misplaced. I like this. I have a good feeling about this. So bishop e7, let's say, yeah, the queen on h5 protects the pawn, by the way. Castles, castles, and whatever white does, whatever white does. I want to play f6 at some point. Obviously, you can remove the knight because there's going to be a mate, but I don't think the queen is here positioned so well. So bishop e7, castles. Oh, wow. There's something immediately. Oh, how many times I'm going to blunder this? It's unbelievable. And again, the bishop is trapped. Okay, let's not blunder a piece. So bishop e7 comes with a threat, apparently. So let's say c3, right? You deal with this threat. Maybe queen c7, provoke a pawn, you play a4. And now come up with something interesting. Maybe a5, bishop a6. Maybe now you trade it so that you can castle and play f6. This queen is doing nothing here. To kill the bishop. So here. I see the bar doesn't like this move for some reason. I'm not sure I even understand it. Why? Looks very natural move. Maybe now play c5. Yeah, so let's say here, c3, c5. Threaten to trap the bishop. White goes here, you play rook b8. White goes here, you go there. White goes here, you go there. I mean, this looks so logical. And we have Hikaru in the chat. Welcome. No, I just noticed. Hello, welcome Hikaru. I think that this looks pretty reasonable. Bishop e7, a4. What did I say? Wait, what a4? No, what did I say? c3, right? Yeah, because this is a threat. This is a threat. So I'm not sure about c3 or knight f3, but c3, c5, keep the threat. Knight f3, rook b8, keep pressing on the gas. b3, queen a5, keep pressing, keep pressing. So queen h5 is actually small inaccuracy. I think actually white should have started something like... f4 again is d4. I think I'm going to blunder d4 for the third time in the same game. Like d4 and knight f4. I mean, you're not supposed to play d4 because it just gives away so many squares. Very unusual move. I think bishop e7. Kind of threatening with d4. And hint that c5, queen a5, bishop a6 is the way to go. Levy can pick it up. Queen h4. Oh, that is a pretty complex move. I did not even consider this, yeah. It looks interesting. So the key idea is bishop g6, h6, and g6. The queen on h4 is protected by the rook. That's a very unusual idea. It's an interesting idea. And if you trade it, then black is sort of safe, right? Yeah, I like it, queen h4. It's nice. I think that here, Levy has to understand if he's bothered by the queen on h5. So queen h4, if he's bothered by the queen, just like queen h4, or instead maybe um, he could identify the queen on h5 as inaccuracy. Yeah, maybe queen h4 is the safer play. But it's also not the move which immediately jumps under your radar because you're thinking about completing your development. You're thinking about most like c5. You're thinking about most like bishop e7. You're thinking about like most like rook b8. Are you thinking about queen h4 here? Maybe. At least it didn't jump in my attention. So, but obviously Levy is focusing on the position a bit more. So I'm sure he sees it. And by the way, is this really such a common maneuver in the Caracan? I'm not sure. Because one thing I've noticed that even very good players, they tend to miss unusual ideas. So what does it mean? It means that you are training to recognize patterns. You study pawn structures, you study openings, you do tactics, you notice patterns. And that's why very often you miss unusual ideas, unusual shots, because you haven't trained really this. Okay, maybe you have trained it, but not enough, right? All right. Levy is again down 20 minutes. But I mean, Samruk is playing too quickly. I mean, by now Levy should realize that there's no, this is prep, that his opponent is just trying to apply some psychological pressure. He should be feeling pretty safe. There are some funny ideas like queen h4, takes, white has the pawn on g2 under attack, and if you play g3, actually you could give a fork. A pretty odd fork, you know. King e2, knight e3, king e3, you try to not damage your pawns, and I don't know, black at some point plays c5 something, gives the bishop along the diagonals, maybe play f6, open up the position, and just enjoy life. Maybe with the current state of mind, this is a good move, yeah. Bishop e7 is a bit more ambitious. Is it easy to prepare Levy's Caracan style? Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the downside of Caracan. He's pretty predictable. I mean, after the Dwan's variation, there's like 2 continuations. We are aware that Levy needs more continuations. It's a work in progress. It just doesn't happen overnight. I mean, Levy already said this in one of the recaps, right? You just can't show up, you know, and suddenly start to play Sicilian Najdorf out of the blue. So, okay, maybe somebody's gonna disagree. You know, you purchase an Ishigiri's course on Chessable, you study it, and you start to play it. But there's one thing, what makes it a big difference of club level and competitive level. You need to develop a feeling for the line. So I can tell this from my own experience. So I used to play, and I still play, a lot of Khan Sicilian and Tamanov Sicilian. I like those positions for some reason. And at some point I switched to e4, e5. You know, I started to play those symmetrical positions with Ray Lopez, Italian game, etc. So I got very nice positions after the opening. But what was happening? I was not feeling those positions. So I was burning a lot of time, and my first results were pretty terrible. So that's why if you study a new opening, like the Najdorf, like the Khan, like the Sveshnikov, whatever Levy's going to choose, you need to practice. Practice a lot. Play a lot of sparring games. Play it online in your secret accounts, etc. Analyze middle game plans. And even then, it might take some time. But as I already said, it's a work in progress. What are the requirements for other titles like IM, Candidate Master, FIDE Master, etc.? There's a question on YouTube by Danish. Well, IM is very similar. There's norms and everything. Candidate master, I think, is just rating, and FIDE master is just rating. So FIDE master, you need to get 2300. That's it. You are FIDE master. Congratulations. Clap, clap. And a candidate master is maybe, I'm not sure, 2200 or 2100. I don't know. I never had it. So I wouldn't know. By the way, dear viewers, what are your ratings over the board or online? How strong are you? I mean, on average, I think the average follower is something like 500, no? Yeah, I see a lot of 1,800s, 1,400. Yeah, even 2,000s, okay. Even we have some genius with 3,300, okay. Maybe it's Magnus Incognito. My own career high rating was 2631. Never been higher. Never really worked so hard because to be an elite grandmaster, you have to work like 8 hours a day or something. I don't know. And like there was the joke about Parka Maksudlu, right? You probably have heard of this story. I hope I remember it correctly. So Parha Maksudlu, one of the strongest grandmasters from Iran, he was working on chess. If I'm not terribly mistaken, please don't quote me on this. 14 hours a day. Yeah, not too shabby. 14 hours a day. Pretty good, right? And then he married. And now he's working only 10 hours a day. It just probably shows you the required dedication you have to input. But again, that is like the elite level. And I think nowadays it's impossible to get anywhere with just talent. It just doesn't work anymore. What is talent anyway? Kasparov, I think who said it, is that the greatest talent is the ability to work hard, study chess, and even then, maybe it's not going to be enough. All right, here Levy is thinking he can't really decide. Maybe he's deciding between queen h4 and bishop e7. It's a big moment, so I think it's a good moment here to feel the position. He has plenty of time. He's spending too much time if he doesn't play queen h4. Maybe he doesn't see queen h4. I don't know. You know, when I was talking with Levy about the decision making, my advice in general was just do not be the perfect player. Meaning, do not try to make the perfect choice. For example, you see in this position something like 3, 4, 5 choices. Don't do it like Grishuk, right? Thinking about all the tiniest nuances in the opening. Just make a choice and stick to it. And be happy with this. Never look back. So I think there's no need to sit there for... There you go. Queen h4 actually. There you go. So queen h4 is... it's a decent move. And don't start to compare the lines with bishop e7, etc. You know, try to draw some graphical comparison. How does it compare? Think about the move for like 20, 30 minutes, and then it basically doesn't matter. Yeah. By the way, this is the advice I was given by Jakob Ogert, one of the greatest authors and also a well-respected chess coach. We played once back in 2011, I think, in in a team event. I lost to Jakob. He played a brilliant game. And I asked him after the game because I had a huge respect. I still respect him incredibly. And I asked to Jakob about some of the choices that he did because I was curious how he treats those choices. Yeah, and he said to me that it's just you stick to a choice, and that's it. You never look back, and don't start to overly compare these choices and be happy about it. Or whatever he said, but it was along the lines the idea. Anyway, so queen h4 is played. Now, the point is, I don't think that white can keep the queens on the board. Otherwise, it's going to cost him the bishop. So going something like queen e2 from a strategical point of view makes no sense, because why would you give up the powerful Laskova bishop? Now, if black is going to open up the position, and he will simply dominate the position. And that's why after queen h4, I think the trade is inevitable. Yeah, playing simpler chess is advisable. You know, this is what we talked about in the game against Paraguay. I advised him play simple. It backfired. Yeah, somehow it just didn't went the direction we are looking for. There were some surprises. Probably all of you already have seen Levy's recap, and it just backfired. So we've been trying to change things, but sometimes it just quite doesn't work. Okay, yesterday's game is a completely different story, so no need to go back there. We are perfectly aware it was a terrible game, a game to forget. I mean, mainly it's a tournament to forget, but whatever. Levy's fighting. Now Samrock is thinking. Maybe actually he didn't notice queen h4 at all. I'm not sure. Levy just stood up, went for a walk. There's the trade. Knight h4 is the only move. You can't play g3 because of knight g2. So show castle, most likely. And yeah, I don't know what the next move. Maybe f6, try to fight for the center. Maybe play bishop e7, develop pieces. c5 feels a bit too early, so I wouldn't really touch it. Unless there's some problems with the dark squares. So probably f6. I would calculate this a bit more closely with the idea that takes, you want to play e5, rook g8, you grab the center, put the bishop on d6 and everything. And if white plays a 4, maybe this is a target somehow. Yeah, I'm not sure because I like the knight on h4 for the moment. It's very unbalanced. Like, can I do this or do I wait? I'm not sure. Like, or maybe I trade and play knight f5. And then play bishop e7 and castle. And if you go here, again, you have to validate this position properly. I mean, you have two bishops, but the pawn structure is a bit worse. Maybe there's c4 something. Takes, put the knight on d4 somewhere. Still very unclear. So show castle will cap on. I mean, it could be also knight f5 immediately, but it feels more or less the same. It could be f6, f4, knight g6. With the idea that if white gives up the bishop, we are happy. But again, I think white's going to play something like knight f3. And the knight on g6 feels awkward. I don't like it. But maybe the position now is going to be a bit simpler for Levy to play. By the way, the engine slightly prefers white. We'll see. Are you allowed to get up to pee at these tournaments? Nathaniel is asking. No, strictly prohibited. What do you think? It's like, again, ELO 300 question. You sit at the board and that's it. You stay there. What do you think? Hopefully Levy will play fast here. You see, this is not happening. Levy's thinking. I think he simply needs to come up where he wants to position his pieces. Also, a very important thing is to use the pawns pretty early. This is the so-called pawn play. So before defining the setup of your pieces, you want to generate some targets like f6 or c5 to get some clearer answers. Where do you want to position your pieces? Okay, Levy played knight f5. Okay, I mean, it's a move. It basically provokes white to take on f5, because I don't think that white wants to give up this dark to a bishop. Like, rook e1, takes. I mean, black is instantly better here. At least visually, it looks that. Somehow, yeah, it's always about the dark square bishop for some reason. It's always the dark square bishop, not the light square bishop. I don't know why. Takes, and knight b3. Hikaru suggests. I mean, yeah, maybe a5 with the idea to play a4, but white could play a4. Because the idea here is that after bishop c5... bishop c5 also is move. I was thinking a4, bishop f8, and then knight c5, but... like... takes, and here, and here... and if you play b4, en passant capture, and you have to take, and I play whatever... by the way, still not so easy. But yeah, I mean, this is a move. Not allowing a4. Also, this pawn could become a target like bishop d2 or bishop b6. Hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine what to do here. I mean, it cannot really be so bad, because even if white trades the bishop on c5, it's still not secured. And even if it is secured, you're just slightly worse. But the question is, what's the next move? I was thinking some silly lines like king d8 and king c7, but I don't like it myself. With the idea that if you play bishop c5, I want to play king c7, a5, king b6, drive out the bishop, the knight. And if white plays knight c5, I was thinking maybe a5, king c7, and in the worst case, you just take on c5 and slightly worse, but you probably hold on. But the issue with this line is that maybe white can go for suddenly for some inspired attack, and that's why I don't like it. Like d takes and suddenly knight a5, just pretty weird. By the way, this is on the board. Okay. And bishop e7. So maybe bishop c5. Do you decline the trade? Maybe just play, you know, solid, whatever. Whatever. Yeah, the bishop on e6 feels like a big pawn, but whatever. So you take on e7 and king e7 and you play knight c5 and okay, whatever. You know, I'm going to play rook b8, rook b5, a5. So you have your knight, I have my bishop. It's a temporarily bad bishop, but I could always play 4, g5, bishop 5, so that's what I'm saying. I mean, even if white puts the knight on c5, I'm not totally convinced it's so bad. So in an ideal scenario, what white wants, I think it's also very important to envision for players to become better players. What white wants? White wants to play, let me make a lot of useless moves. White wants to get something like this. Okay, I'm not sure about the pawn on a5, but block all the dark squares. Well, let's go bishop is pretty bad, and then somehow, you know, use this knight to maneuver here and there and try to exploit the power of the knight. But obviously, I wasted like 10 moves. So that's why after bishop c5, I think that even this is like pretty decent. And again, takes, and it's like, okay, you play a knight c5. So what? Maybe indeed he wants to play bishop d8 here. And bishop b6. And the point is, if white takes on b6, it fixes black's pawn structure. Like, let's say, whatever, h3, bishop b6, and white, for some reason, you know, gets a brain lag and takes on b6. So now black can play c5, d4, and suddenly this bishop on e6 is better than the knight. But you probably guessed it, right? Why would white take on b6? Why would white even waste time for h3? So I think actually something like a4, a5 could be in the cards to force the trade. And then again, the game becomes very concrete, like bishop a6, bishop c4. You want to force white to take on b6. White plays a5, and I have a feeling that you're kind of not in time. And again, this bishop becomes pretty useless. There's e6, etc. I'm sticking to bishop e6, but we'll see. I mean, already during this tournament, I have wrongly estimated Levy's plans. Sometimes I'm guessing what he's going to play, sometimes I'm not. Instead of having a strong central Levy force the isolated weak pawn on c6 and d5, in my opinion, it was a serious strategic mistake. Albert Schweitzer is writing on YouTube. Well, I wouldn't really go as far and say it's a strategic mistake, but I think that Levy slightly rushed. He was rushing to clarify the situation. So he played knight f5. He wanted to clarify the situation, and I suppose maybe his the clock situation played a role here. That when you're lower on the clock, you always want to clarify the situation, probably subconsciously. And instead, maybe he should have done something else. You know, and I have talked with Levy about a lot about this. Is that when you're playing against opponents that are good, but let's say they're not grandmasters, right? That if you want to become grandmaster, you have to beat these guys. So I was saying is that you want to give these guys a chance to go wrong. You want to essentially lead them into a dark forest, whereas 2 plus 2 is 5, and there's only one way out. Yeah, there's a very famous quote by Michal Tal. And the point is, you want to create circumstances where your opponent has to choose. Like, he has many choices: left, right, up, down, circles, etc. Right? And he can't choose. And that's why I think that Levy could, not talking about Queen H4, but like in general, Levy could choose maybe moves that where his opponent really has to guess, right? Where it's not so clear how to continue. And that's why sometimes he's making these choices. He's looking for the clarity for himself, but at the same time, he's helping the opponent. And it's not so easy, right? Because in theory, he knows this, or maybe he's not even thinking about this. So the question is, how do you understand when is the right moment to use this rule or that rule or this rule? How do you understand when's the right moment to play by hand? How do you understand when's the right moment to, complicate matters? How do you understand when's the right moment to fight for the center, etc.? It's very difficult. I think those are the GM qualities, essentially. There's a big impact of your score in the current game you play. Game Light is suggesting on YouTube. Of course, yes. You play how you feel. You feel not well, you don't play well. You feel your tournament is not going your way, you are underperforming. That's how it goes. That's why, by the way, I think Madrid tournament was a big success. Because Levy started with the victory, so it just lifted him up. Yeah, you didn't even need Red Bull for that. So the victory just lifted him up, right? He was literally flying. So he came back to the competitive chess. He was very motivated. He beat the top seeded player with the black color with a very nice game, right? And he was just literally flying. It is important. Yeah, but when you start badly, you blunder, you miss things, it affects your performance. I hope he is still motivated after this. I am Yubin is writing on Twitch. He is. He is. Don't you worry. This is the low point. It's gonna be an important lesson. We're gonna get over it. Did we expect that the tournament is gonna be a disaster? No. No, we had plans for this tournament. They are not working. Guess what? That's life. YouTube is a bit behind. What? Oh, you mean the video? Is it? No, Levy won't give up. He's stronger than this. Like, he literally wrote this in his tweet, that even despite the fact he has lost so many games, that the tournament is a disaster, he is still okay. I think I just saw a move. Where is it? Rook e1. What a weird move. Well, what's the idea of Rook e1 even? Yeah, I don't understand. It's like a generic move to take the e file, but what does it do there? I think bishop c5 can be played, right? Maybe he did this on purpose to be unpredictable, but I don't know. Maybe he wants Levy to castle short and then play bishop c5. Now the point is, this king is away from the action, but that's why I think it's a good idea to go back and review some of the basics. Why do you need the castle? You're castling because of two main reasons. Reason number one, king safety. Reason number two, connect the rooks. And you can do that also by playing king e7. I mean, remove the bishop at some point and play king e7 or king c7. The king is safe. And when it comes to the endgames, a king's a piece. Just a second. I'll make a very short break and be back in a minute. I'm losing my voice here. All right. I'm back. All right, now the big question is how to play. Maybe now the bishop e6 is good. It feels passive, but it keeps everything together. And now bishop c5 is probably still a move, but why did you play rook e1? So maybe Levy can play a5. a4 probably. And some king d7 and rook b8. With some tricks to take on b3. And then the bishop is hanging. So white is going to take it. We kind of wasted time. Knight c5. Rook goes here. Or maybe the other rook. I'm not sure. Maybe this rook goes here. b3. Maybe smoke out the knight. No? No, apparently not. Or maybe just leave it be. f4, bishop f5, g5, h5, h4. And then at some point play king d8, king c7, king b6. Yeah, this is a beautiful knight. So I think also what white would love to do is play c3, b4 at some point. Let's say you go here, you stop any rook b1 ideas. I mean, I have a big respect for this knight on c5, obviously. But I do not think it's bad. So again, in some future scenario, so let's say something happens, even if this happens, yeah, I think I blundered something here. So even if this happens, is this really so bad? Like, I could play rook b5 and get the king here on a7 maybe. This pawn is a weakness. I have my d pawn. And bishop e6 is on the board. I like this move. I have a good feeling about this game. It feels that the position is safe. And it also feels to be like a position where Levy's opponent could wrongly estimate the importance of the c5 square. Like, this is sometimes what people do. Like, you see, oh, there's an outpost on c5. It means I'm doing really great. I put the knight on c5, anchor it there, I'm doing great. And then when you start to play it out, you realize actually it's not so simple. I've made this mistake so many times myself. When you are superficially evaluating the position, it's like generically giving generic overview of the position, not feeling the nuances of the position. Then you go for a certain position. For example, here, you go for this position from afar, and you think, I'm doing great. I have the knight on c5, etc., etc., etc. And then, let's say 5 moves later, you actually start to think, wait a second, I have nothing here. The knight on c5 is just a beautiful piece, and that's it. Maybe there's, white needs to play f4 to keep the bishop on e6 locked. And then go for the idea of bishop e7 and knight c5. But if you play f4, for example, here bishop c5 was just played. But if you play f4, I'm going to play h6. If you play bishop c5, I'm going to play g5. So what do you think? I'm going to just sit there and do nothing? So you play g3. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to play rook g8 or g takes, and rook g8 and king f2 and... Oh, wait, there's a check already. But my point was, even this, I'm going to generate counterplay. So you have your beautiful knight on c5, but there's other elements of the game as well, right? They will agree on a draw after all. I don't think that Levy really minds this. I'm just referring to a comment in YouTube chat. I don't think Levy would really mind this. One game less to worry about. Maybe here... I think this is a good move. a5? Okay, maybe it's not necessary. Maybe it's a weakness. I don't know. But you could play also f4 or g5. It's a move. Just remind white that I'm also playing here. Advance on the king side. Use the pawn play. It's a very simple position. A simple position meaning that it's a bit easier to play than some of the previous games. That's what I mean by a simple position. Do I drive a Chevrolet? Sir, I do not own a Chevrolet. King d7. Yeah, it's a decent move. But I think that he should have maybe used this time to do something here with the king side. So white can now play f4. Or maybe actually Levy doesn't mind it. Again, same idea, h6, right? h6, king f2, g5, g3, rook g8. Because I already suggested king d7, but in inclusions a4, a5, and then king d7. But now that I've started to look at this, I was thinking about g5, f4. Coach only drives Bugattis. Yeah, you wish. You wish. I have such a cheap car, you wouldn't believe. All right. I think bishop e7 will happen. King d7 is a pretty good move. He could have been more accurate. Moskovich. Jamal is writing. You're mispronouncing. It's Moskvich. Moskvich. And to your knowledge, nobody in Europe nowadays drives a Moskvich. Nobody. I haven't seen a single Moskvich since my childhood when I was literally age 5. Maybe 10. I don't know. Okay, maybe age 10. They're relics. So in case somebody doesn't know, Moskviches, they used to be pretty popular Soviet-made cars. Like a Moskvich, it means the translation in Russian language, what's the proper name for that? Moscovian? Yeah, coming from Moscow. No, I don't have a Moskvich. All right. Knight c5 probably is going to happen. Do I remember the collapse of the Soviet Union? I do. I was 7 years old. There were things happening in Latvia when Latvia was fighting for independence. There was shootings, and I remember we were gathering the TV at home, and my mom said that this is important for the country. I was a kid, I didn't understand it. I was terrified, I remember. But yeah, I remember. Knight c5. Okay, now this is getting really easy. Rook b8, rook b5. There you go. Maybe rook a b8 here. And white cannot keep the knight on c5. Levy is completely safe here. So again, just go here, hit a pawn, b3, just go here. Not difficult. So you smoke the knight out. Knight e3, you play c5. Just completely okay. And if white takes on e6, you have a liberty to choose f takes on e6 or king e6. Actually, I like king e6 a bit more because I use the king as a piece. You know, it's a bit more advanced than this guy. Do I still live in Latvia? Yes, I'm streaming literally from Riga. I'm not in New York City. And I've been doing the coverage in the middle of the night every single day, and including today. I don't mind it. Levy said I'm crazy. Did I agree to do this? I don't mind it. I mean, the first day actually was the toughest. First and second day. But I just got adjusted to it. I'm basically living Eastern Standard Time zone. And then I have to recover until the Olympiad. Olympiad starts in 10 days, so I have time. I'll get in the rhythm. Rook A, B8. Now the bar, why the bar actually went to equal? What? There was something better? Instead of the obvious move, there was something better? Don't tell me it's bishop c8. Okay, I'm switching on engine. I'm curious. What the almighty beast says. Rook h to b8? Oh, come on. No, this is ridiculous. Okay. I mean, this is literally the same. No, no difference. No, no, it's good. Switched it off. It just makes no... I mean, actually, this move makes a bit more sense because this rook is going to go somewhere to d8 or c8. No difference. Greetings from Budapest. Greetings from Riga. By the way, we have so many Europeans watching Levy's games in the middle of the night. You know, I did this a couple of times during the second game of the day. I asked, where are you guys from? There were so many Europeans, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., watching chess. Can you imagine this? So you would mostly expect they're Americans, obviously, since Levy's himself an American, and Australians, or maybe from Asia. But no, there's a lot of Europeans, you know? All right. I see many countries. Yeah, greetings to you all. Levy's thinking, wait, there was a move again? Why I don't have it? There you go. You know, I now start to think, can black be greedy? So obviously rook b5 has got to be the move. But can I be greedy? You know, and start to think meta level. I want to keep my bishop. I want to play rook b5, and then I want to drive it out, and then I want to dominate your knight in the long run. So I could try to secure the knight with a3, I play a5, I could play c3, rook b5, and b4. So, yeah, I'm not in time, clearly. But my idea was, if you do something like, okay, let's use the most useful move, useless move there is. I wanted to get this, and this, and this, and then bring the bishop out, and then dominate the knight. Which, by the way, is not yet guaranteed, anyway. No, I'm pretty sure that, yeah, rook b5 is played immediately. Knight d3. Some rook keeps the knight on the board. Do you play now c5 or g5? I like this move somehow. With the idea that if you play a4, you try to anchor the knight back. Now I play f4, I play bishop f5, I play a5, I go around, and I say hello. I like this idea. But again, I think c5 is also pretty normal. Taking away the c5 square. So a4, maybe rook a5. Now the question is this rook here not feeling badly? Maybe it is. g5 is way too deep. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it is. I was just thinking, I mean, I want to use these pawns somehow here, the king side, to confuse the opponent, but most likely c5. So c5, a4, and I'm somewhere here, you know? So rook a5, I will be a bit concerned. I mean, am I not positioning my rook in the corner? So maybe there's a room for sacrificing a pawn, but is this ever going to happen? Like here, knight c5, rook c8. I'm not sure Levy thinks like that. Not yet. Because I also saw his game recap against Kyron Griffith. And in my own recap on YouTube, I was suggesting against Chiron he should focus on the potential pawn sacrifice on e3, which was mainly not fully endorsed by an engine, but I thought it's a very human way to play. I mean, you get some clarity. And here, yeah, I'm not sure. So Levy did not even consider this at all. That's why I'm not sure that he's willing to give up a pawn in general in positions where it's not so clear what do you get for it. But you know, I usually call this thing the commentator's curse. What does it mean? It means that it's so much easier to suggest when you're not playing yourself. You know, it's so much easier to suggest a sacrifice, like an interesting idea, you know, go check it out, etc. But when you're sitting there and playing yourself, it just, you're not always doing what you're suggesting as a commentator, right? So, c5? So what was the line again? c5, a4, and rook b8. How human is this line? Not very human, probably. Knight c5, there's no b4. Knight a6 is rook b6. Knight e3, you collect the pawn. So knight e6. Actually, even king e6 maybe is a move. Rook e2. Rook c3. Rook d1. Rook c8. Rook d2. And you know, and then you start to ask yourself, oh, I'm missing actually something. But if you don't win back the pawn, let's say, okay, maybe not this, but something like g3 here and here. And you're wondering, what do I have for the pawn? Well, what do you have? You're having the better pieces, like d4 and king d5 and a5 and g5 and f4. You're just dominating the guy. I think Levy can improve in this matter. I am not saying that this has to be done. By the way, c5 is on the board. But Levy lacks this willingness to put some of the positional gains of the position higher than the material balance. I think this is also one of the GM qualities, that you're like not strictly looking at the material balance on the board. You always, your biggest priority is activity. You're active. You're gaining space. You give up a pawn, find a material. You give up a pawn, right? I should study some tall games with him. Actually, we have talked about this. Levy said that he lacks a classical education. Yeah. Again, guys, I mean, don't forget he is a content creator 24/7. I mean, I said him when we started our cooperation, I said, we have to work 5 times a week, which was ridiculous. By the way, we are going to get our answer right now. Is Levy thinking even about rook b8? Huge moment here. I think he's going to play rook a5, but rook b8 might be a big shift in his mindset. But probably he's going to play rook a5. Like, I don't think rook b8 is going to happen. But anyway, I was saying that we should work like 5 times a week. Like, we need to work a lot, you know, so that we can do a lot of things. We can talk OpenX, we can talk about classical games, we can talk about structures, we can talk about calculation, we can talk about psychology, blah, blah, blah. So many things to talk about. And so the best we could do was 3 times a week. Maybe after this tournament, it's going to be more. Because Levy realizes that he has to work a bit more. Maybe allocate a bit more time on working with himself. Yeah, rook a5 is played. Yeah, this rook b8 was just an idea. Visually slightly concerned about rook at a5, like, am I not dropping it somewhere with c3, b4? It's kind of stuck in the corner. But again, I mean, it's a very concrete position. You're going to play rook c8 and c4 maybe, or maybe d4, maybe g5, f4, bishop f5. So c3, b4 is a big question. What happens here? Do you play b5 or knight c5? Probably b5. Oh, sorry. Now, it would be great to get the knight on d4 for white. Yeah, white is better. Wait, so actually this looks pretty unpleasant. So c3, maybe push d4. What does it matter? I don't know. Takes, b4, rook d5, rook c1. What is better? Yeah, it's a very easy move for white. I mean, what do you even do here? I suddenly start not to like this position at all. Maybe there's the room for c4. c4, b4 here, and knight c5. I don't like this. And then play g5, f4 or something, but... I mean, again, if the knight gets on d4, you can basically resign. But... maybe it's not going to get there. How about playing bishop d7 and stopping b4? So, I can talk a lot with Levy about these small things that you can improve. And I said that one of the things to become a better player is to develop at a pretty good level the ability to formulate small things that need to be done. Right? It's sometimes, I mean, when you stare at the board, for example, here, it's like you stare at this position, it's like, what should I do here? What are my candidate moves, etc. You know, then what are they? You know, you can't really come up with them. So, okay, c4, okay, d4, okay, rook b8, and then your position just deteriorates. That's why what I was saying to him is that you should be focusing a lot on formulating the small things. Like, for example, here, my opponents want to play b4. What do I do again about it? What do I do about b4? When you formulate like that, maybe I have to play bishop d7. Is this a passive move? Yeah, it is. But maybe there's nothing better. You want to play rook b8 and apply pressure. Maybe you want to play c4 a bit later. Does it leave the pawn on d5 vulnerable? Yes, it does. So there could be knight 4 hitting the pawn. I mean, you can always go back. But maybe you can be ambitious and play bishop c6. Oh, wait. Oh, no. b4. Takes. Oh, sorry. Whatever is this? Knight e5, king e6. I cannot calculate so quickly. So c3, bishop d7 feels to be necessary move. Oh, this is an interesting suggestion. Pan Andre is suggesting c3, c4, b4, and sacrifice in exchange. That is nice. But we are probably going to go back to the same story. How do you validate this position? Do you have compensation? Or don't you have compensation? I think you do. The pawn on d3 is strong. But again, it's a very concrete position. You have to calculate things like, what if my opponent forces things? Like rook d1, rook c3, rook c1. What if he forces things? Like gives up the pawn, goes for activity. Am I not losing this? Maybe there's some rook c4 or something. Rook b1, the pawn is under attack. Rook b7 is a threat. I am not sure. I would go here if I would be desperate. This would be like the final round where nothing else works for me. I need to win. Then I go here. I'm whatever, whatever. Win or lose. All chips in the middle. But Samrug is not yet playing. c3. No, it's a very interesting idea. I mean, but I don't think Levy's gonna do this. I mean, he already did not sacrifice the pawn, because this was a bit easier move then. Yeah, with knight c5 and rook c, you just give up a pawn, not an exchange. After knight e6, let's say king e6, and you go for domination, you play d4 and king d5 and rook c3, etc. g5, f4, so bad with arrows. Can't draw them. By the way, in general, I like how Levy is playing today. He got a nice and simple position. He has a pretty decent time management. He's not collapsing. He feels much more calmed down. Also, his body language looks good. He looks tired, but it looks good. Can I cover rook b8? What does it change? I mean, what wants to play b4? These are very easy moves for white. I hope this never happens. Alan gains the dragon. How is it going, Arthur? Hope all is well. Hey, Alan, how is it going for you? Everything is going well for me. Everything is good. I'm losing my voice. I started losing yesterday. But apart from that, it's okay. I feel good. I have adjusted to the rhythm. C3. Excellent move, by the way. I suppose it's the only move. And I think now bishop d7 is necessary. Panandre is writing, I think Levy should let his hair grow until he gets his norm. So you're referring to Aman Hambleton, are you not, right? Because Aman, famously, he was growing his beard, right? When he was going for the GM title. I think so. I quite do not remember all the details, but I'm pretty sure this is what happened. That's an interesting suggestion, you know? Why not? I'm gonna suggest him this. Haman's beard is legendary, yeah. Yeah, I kind of remember this. This was something like 5 years ago, was it not? All right. Will Levy come to India for a tournament? There's a question by Anon JJJ on YouTube. I don't know. I don't think so. But it's not up to me. I think that Levy wants to choose tournaments where he doesn't have to cross a lot of time zones. I actually suggested him one tournament very far away from New York City. Yeah, and he said, no, thank you. You know, I don't want to fly it so far away. I mean, literally cross like 12 time zones. And then just the brain is melting. Yeah, by the way, there's this line with bishop d7 and b4. Takes, rook a4, bishop a4, rook a1. Good call. But I think it's a very forcing line. It's not difficult to find these moves. There's no way Levy is ever going to lose this. He has a strong pass pawn. The bishop is good. Rook goes here. I'm thinking about some d4 ideas. Rook d8, d3. It feels pretty safe. So bishop d7, b4, takes, rook a4, takes, rook a1, bishop b5, rook a7, rook a7, king e6, knight c5, king e5 here, and there could be many moves. Again, I'm not sure about this d4. There could be g5, g6. There could be whatever. King d4, king c4, d4, d3. Could be also this move here. Let's say you take a pawn, I go here, put the rook behind the pawn. Levy has time. Later today, there's going to be another game. It's going to start at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 p.m. Oh, sorry, 12 a.m. Central European Summertime in the midnight. And in round 7, let me check who he's playing. I already forgot. He's playing against Liam Putnam, the young talent from United States who doesn't really have a great run in this tournament. He has lost 3 games, one win, but also having a pretty disappointing tournament. And this is what happens. I mean, when you bring 10 very good players in the same room, somebody is going to win and somebody is going to lose. You combine some elements like bad luck, maybe sleep, etc., and it can get disastrous. So this is what's happening to Levy. Yes, Liam is very strong. Do I have a Twitch channel? I'm literally streaming right now on my Twitch channel. I'm streaming on 3 channels. Levy's Twitch, Levy's YouTube, and my own Twitch channel. Also, if you're interested, you can check out my YouTube channel. I'm posting the video recaps after the round. So if there's going to be enough time after this round, I will post a recap. If not, then I'll do it in the morning. Probably I'll try to do it after the round because tomorrow I have a long day. It's the first school day, so it's going to be tough. Bishop d7 is a critical move here. So we have talked about bishop d7, we have talked about d4, we have talked about c4, rook b8, rook c8. Bishop d7 is played. Well played. Well played. All right. At the moment, this looks like to be heading to a draw. We'll see. Samro can still misplay this. He's not been playing very accurate in this game so far. Has Levy worked through Argard's books? Newbie is asking and you do. That is the plan. We will use a lot of Argard's material. So we'll use some of the best material there is. So rest assured, there's a lot of ideas to do. What is the line after bishop d7? I'm not sure. It really depends what Samrok is going to do. He might play b4. Because he's also been trying to force matters. He might play b4. But if he doesn't play b4, he has to look for alternatives. Can he improve the b4 threat? Then you need to protect the pawn on a4, right? How do you protect it? Knight b2, but then black is going to play rook b8. Maybe you attack the pawn, but then the bishop goes back. I mean, what else do you do? Maybe rook d1 to hit the pawn. No, I think he's gonna play b4. I'm like pretty positive. I think we're going for this line. b4 takes, rook a4, rook a4, bishop a4, rook a1, bishop b5, rook a7, king e6, knight c5, king e5, rook f7, and something is gonna happen here. I have a good feeling this is happening. Because Samruk is gonna see he is pushing for the b pawn. This d pawn seemingly is not so close. The knight is giving some checks. So, and he's gonna look at some alternatives. There's no alternatives, then he's gonna play b4. He's writing such comments. Oh my god. I'm not gonna read it. Because I don't want the chat to go out of control. Can I get a GM title if I'm 16? Nicola is asking on YouTube. 3-4 months ago you started to play, now you have 1600. Oh, sorry, 1500. Yeah, but be ready to devote your life for it. You can do it. No, you can do it. There's moments in the history of chess when you start to play late, like age 16, you got to the GM title anyway. Not very often, but it has been done. By the way, I think one of the most important requirements to be successful. So, do you think it happens like this? Is that you start to play chess and you're like, I'll become a GM. You just start to play chess. I'll be a world champion. I'll be a chess professional. I'll be really good. Do you think it happens like that? I don't think so. So you need to love the game, right? You love the game. You love the process. You love the process to compete against other players. It's a board game, and you enjoy it. You play it in your childhood, wherever you are, or wherever your age is. And then at some point you become really so good that you think, I want to do this professionally. I want to study chess like 10 hours a day, etc. I want to get a coach. I want to buy courses. I want to play in tournaments. I'm going to do this. Yeah, okay. But at the very beginning, I don't think it's going to happen like your kid now is going to become a chess professional. No, I think the most important thing you have to have is the love for the game. You don't love the game, nothing is gonna happen. Is g3 f4 off the table? I see no reason to do it because nothing is happening here. I think you have to also think a bit about tunnel vision. That whatever is happening right here, in this quadrant, right here. So this is not important right now. So you focus here, probably even here. This is the critical moment. I mean, of course, it's important to keep looking at the entire board, but Something is going to happen here. That was a very nice question. Just a second. Do I ever hate the game? Alexander Fertkov is asking YouTube. You know, I think all of us, we can safely say, chess is a game. You love it and you hate it. Sometimes. You love it and hate it. It's a love-hate relationship all the time. You play badly, you hate it for one evening. And then next evening you come back. Or next morning. Yes, when you're doing badly, then of course you don't want to even hear anything about chess. How many times I've myself thought I should quit chess? I've lost account. But it was like for a very short period of time. Like I lost a very painful game. I just think I should quit chess completely. I don't go checkers. Go play checkers. Like jokingly, I don't really like checkers. But it passes. Yeah, it's an addiction. I agree. How many of you, by the way, like checkers? Maybe I said something bad about checkers, but I don't like it. I was pretty good at checkers when I was a kid. Actually, I started to play checkers before chess. It's not my game, but I have a big respect for everyone who likes it. I don't find it interesting, but somebody's gonna come in and say you understand nothing of chess, of checkers. It's fine by me. Samruk is thinking. 94. Ah, he wants to play bishop e6 and b4. This is Samruk's idea. He wants to lure the bishop away from the pawn on a4. So can Levy play bishop c6 instead? And now, can you play b4? Takes here. And knight d5. Bishop d5 drops the rook. And king d7. Takes, and here. That's a decent idea. Yeah. I'm not even sure these are the only moves. There could be some other moves as well. But most likely, bishop c6. Most likely. You want to play g5 and get rid of the knight. e6 is, by the way, also a move. But I think that here, after something like rook b8, Levy should be completely fine. So, bishop c6, b4, takes, rook a4. There's also rook c1 somewhere. Ah, rook c1 is rook b4. So knight e5. You could go here, but there's a check. This is, by the way, an important move. You can't take on a4, there's a mate. Oh. So I'm not sure. Thank you. Thanks, guys. So knight e5, king e6 feels okay. Check here. Takes, takes. Here and here. It should be completely okay. Is this a difficult line? I don't think so. So again, bishop c6. I mean, white has e6, white has rook d1, but I think this is the big idea to play b4. So b4, takes, takes, rook a4, rook c1, you take on b4. I think this should be okay. So knight e5, and just king e6. Maybe there's something else like king d7 as well, but it's just forcing matters. Most likely knight f4. Rook c1 again is you take it. Rook c6, you take it, check is king e6, should be a draw. So take it here. Okay, maybe white doesn't have to play rook a1. But if he doesn't play rook a1, there's nothing. No, it's okay. Levy is safe. And I think he's going to pick this up because the alternatives are not great. Like bishop e6 runs into b4. Levy knows why his opponent plays knight f4. So b4 takes, takes, and maybe he can ignore, by the way. He can play rook a6. B takes, rook c8, knight e3, rook c6, or maybe bishop d7. No, I don't think it's going to happen. So this makes no sense. I was also thinking about some pawn sacrifice like rook b8, but I don't think it's correct. With king e6, go for domination. Knight f4, king e7, you attack the pawn, you play c4, you do something, you play g5 or something, I don't know. And I think he just played it, and he played bishop e6. Yeah, but why? Why is he allowing this? So b4 takes, takes. It just visually feels wrong, right? Maybe Levy wants to play rook a6. Sack the pawn. Ah, maybe he wants to play rook b8 and go for activity. You know, no, everything is good. You know, one thing I want Hikaru to get at this level, so that so that Levy is So that Levy is choosing. He's choosing between choices. So that Levy is calculating things like he's calculating bishop c6, b4, takes, rook a4, knight e5, king e6, knight e4, king e7, ding, 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 rook a1, rook d8, rook a, etc., etc., etc. So that he calculates this, he gives a valuation. It looks too simple to me, it looks too Josh, etc., etc., etc. I'm not so sure. Let's keep this as an opportunity. Then I'm looking at the other continuation. I'm looking at bishop e6. Bishop e6, of course, I know I ignore b4. After b4, I want to play rook a6. If he plays b5, rook b6, this is not so clear. I have a passed pawn. Another b takes on c5, rook b8. Okay, this is slightly spicy. I'm dropping a pawn, but I have pretty active pieces. So I'm making a choice. This is the kind of level I want to see from Levy, that he is choosing, he's seeing things, that he's seeing this line, he's seeing that line, and then he's comparing these lines. So that it's not like, yeah, I play bishop e6 because there's nothing else, because bishop c6, I was afraid of something, yeah? That's why I think you have to be very concrete. That's the level we're going for. So at the very core, it's the calculation. Actually, this line is pretty good. I don't think it's bad. So the pawn on c5 looks dangerous. Again, the knight might get to d4, but again, I mean, black is pretty active here. So, for example, you play knight e2, I don't know, bishop d7, hit the pawn, and yeah, maybe knight e4 is still a move. Not so simple. So the only question is, how well is Levy calculating in this game? Because he has been saying that in this tournament he can't calculate anything, like at all. I don't know, for whatever reason. He can't fully concentrate. He's either tired or distracted or something. This is a very simple position. I mean, relatively simple position. This is not a very complex middle game. Maybe actually here, after rook a6, b takes on c5, there's something far simpler. Like forcing matters with rook c8. White defends the pawn. And now bishop d7. Oh wait, I'm dropping something. No, I'm not dropping. Outside pass, pawn, double pawns, maybe not so important. I think this is important move. I can't read his body language. He might be unhappy or he's just concentrated. I can't read it, how he feels. What did he play? He played rook a6. Well done, Levy. Well done. It's a good move. Good choice. I'm still not getting it. Ah, the video is a bit ahead, right? I'm gonna adjust it. Oh, you go back in time. I mean, there could be some other moves like knight e3 as well. Instead of b takes on c5. And I suppose now you take it, take it and you try to get the rook out of the corner. Knight c5 and a5. Or rook b8, I don't know, maybe rook b8. Oh, this feels completely okay. It's okay. All right, but again, at the core is the feeling. How do you feel about the position? How does Levy feel about this position? Does he feel secure? Is he unhappy? Does he feel he's controlling the game? Big choice for Samrock, by the way. I could easily see him playing knight e3. b5, I don't think it's gonna happen because black keeps the pass pawn, and could be rook b8 and a6 incoming, unless there's a very concrete move. I don't think this is a threat. No, I don't think b5 is even a serious consideration for Samrock. So it should be, the first move should be bx on c5 he's considering, and then put the knight on d4, or knight e3, knight b4, or play knight e3. Somehow I think he's gonna play knight e3. But here I'm not sure, is it rook b8 or is it rook c8? Actually wait, maybe just this. And if I plays knight e3, I'm not sure if I want to play rook c6. I want to keep the pawn on a4 under attack so that this rook is stuck. I need a precise move. What was the line again? Here? Here? And here maybe? No? Probably too slow. There's always the g5, f4, and bishop f5, but I'm just having ideas. I don't know how to carry them out. Maybe it's actually something like rook c6, force the knight on d3. I mean, actually, white can sacrifice the pawn. I haven't even talked about it. So knight e3, now I go here. Oh, I'm blundering. Okay. Can I go here on d4? Rook goes here, probably d4, rook b7, king e8. Can I do this? Go for activity. This looks pretty decent. So what was it again? Takes it, improve the rook. Takes it, improve the rook. I mean, this is not difficult stuff. It could be difficult when you're choosing some other moves. But I mean, here the problem maybe is that after rook c6, white can play rook b1. Go for activity. And what happens now? Maybe here, 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 here. Knight e3. and take over the b file. This feels pretty safe, you know? I'm down a pawn, but it feels safe. This pawn is going nowhere. It's a double pawn. The king is pretty close to control things. Actually, some rook could have to be accurate in some lines. The king is very far away. He could lose these pawns. But I think this is the key move, this rook c6. It's not an easy move because you want to keep the rook here. Yeah, quite tricky. White 0.7. I can check the engine, by the way, if you want. Switching on the engine. What? b5? I don't think it's gonna happen. No, no, no. No b5. So b takes is equally valid by an engine. So rook d8 immediately. No, but now engine thinks also rook c6 is a good move. Rook ab1 and rook d8. This is what engine says. Go for d4. Rook b7 check, I suppose. Looks human. Rook d7 takes. Knight d3 f4. Knight f4, rook c5. And black is cooking. You know, like I already said, we have a long road ahead of us. I have to find a way to teach Levy not to respect the pawns. Focus on activity, focused on having nice coordination of the pieces. So that it's not like in the subconsciousness, he is rejecting things because he's down a pawn. Knight e3 is played. Okay, I told you, I mean, I had a feeling this might happen. He wants to keep his pawns fixed. But now c takes, rook c6, Levy's completely safe. Unless... wait, he wants to take with the knight. Wait, takes. I didn't consider this. Rook a5 is a fork, so it forces here, a5. You can't go here. Only move here. Oh, come on, guys. I mean, this is not so difficult. I mean, only move here, protect the pawn on a7. Maybe even there's some silly engine lines like here, and sacrifice the pawn, but nobody plays like this. So Levy is okay. This is easy. This is easy. Improve the pieces. It's not yet a draw, by the way. I think that Levy has a realistic shot to take over the game because the king is very close to the center. This king is very far. And at the moment the game is going exactly how I was predicting it might go, is that some rook might overestimate the strength of the knight. Like, he tries to dominate the bishop, but again, there's so many elements that affect the valuation, like the king's activity, the pawn structure, etc. I think everything is good. Feel pretty good about Levy's chances. Start with the small things. Improve your position. Also, this, by the way, this line looks pretty human. Takes, takes. Rook c6, b5, here, and rook b1. Knight b4, knight c6. Looks pretty human. But I mean, this king is close. So I could go even here. I could go here. I could go here. And I could go here. No? Oh, apparently not. Okay. That's a problem. Maybe here. And only now, king b7. Yeah, these are strong pawns. But wait, I mean, they might be dropping like flies. I mean, you also have your counterplay. The king is very far. And then you look at this position. Is black not playing with an extra piece? I mean, this is an extra piece, no? Compared to what we have here. The king is not participating in the game. We just saw a move. C takes, C takes. Rook c6. You gotta do this. Otherwise, b5, knight b4, Levy. This is trouble. You don't want to allow the knight on b4. Not easily, anyway. This is a 3-result game. White is slightly better, but it could easily go either way. I'm confident Levy has good chances. Good chances for 3 results. For positive result. I don't think Levy wants 3 results. He wants a positive result. Rook c8. Why is he allowing b5? Wait. b5, rook b6, and knight b4. Why is he allowing this? How do you deal with this knight c6 now? I mean, maybe still the king runs. Like, here. And here. Not, by the way, clear. Yeah, see the bar, obviously. It's a weird move. I don't understand his decision making sometimes. Well, why not rook c6 and rook c4? The rook is here pretty bad. Does he want to play indeed rook a5? But now there's knight b4, right? This is a problem, no? How is this not a problem? Wait, how is this okay for... Wait, do you want to sacrifice an exchange? Like knight c6, takes, takes, and king c6? No, it just feels so wrong. Wait, what the engine is even saying? Yeah, let me figure it out. I don't want to check it. I must be missing something really obvious. Bishop d7, knight e5? Is this okay? Like here. And go here. Is this what he wants? We are getting our answer very quickly. No, this is not what he wants. I mean, this is, by the way, endorsed by an engine. So rook a5, knight b4, bishop d7, give up the pawn. I wouldn't be thinking like this, to be honest. I just try to understand why the bar was behaving as it was behaving, and then play rook c4, and black is okay. I mean, this rook at a5, I'm not sure. I like it there. I mean, one move and it's gone. But again, it's hitting the pawns. Chess is a very concrete game. Yeah, now obviously knight b4 is incoming. Now the problem with this pawn, like maybe here and here and here, everything suddenly is very clunky here. I don't like this. You know where's the problem? I mean, obviously, there's many problems in this tournament, so it's not working. Levy subconsciously is playing very passively. He doesn't realize this. He's making passive choices. Like yesterday against Kyron Griffith, he was going for some solid choices, but he's passive. Also here, he's like going for something very solid, but he's passive. And that's why you always should be thinking about, am I playing active enough? And formulating things, my rook on a6 is bad, I should improve it. You play rook a6, rook c4, right? And then again, you formulate things like, my opponent wants to play, what does he want? b5, knight b4, knight c6. Maybe he didn't understand it. Maybe he thought that the opponent wants to play knight c5. But I think these pawns are outside pass pawns. They belong to be pushed forward, right? So, b5, knight b4, knight c6. How do I know the c6 square is a weakness? It's one of the common themes, for example, in the Catalan. The knight on c6 very often is a monster, right? And c6 feels better than c5 anyway. It still should be like okay, but some of these choices, I don't like them. But the Levy's doing the best he can. He's doing the best absolutely he can at the moment. He would be playing completely different chess when he got a better start in the tournament. So also one of the final things we have to work on is not only the calculation. As you see, he's not calculating things until the very end, like pretty vague, not very concrete, like general evaluations, etc. You can't do that. You have to be more specific. And also he needs to improve the positional chess, like smaller things in the next coming 2 or 3 moves. And then on top of that, obviously, be more flexible about sacrificing material like pawns, going for dynamics, etc. There's a lot of work. But he can do it. I would like to activate this rook now, but again, it's going to cost a pawn. Can I play rook c4? Yeah, it's insane. Give up this pawn. Yeah, because these pawns are rolling forward. Obviously, I cannot do it. And now bishop d7 doesn't work because there's a fork. So this was actually a move. This entire sequence. Give up the pawn, but how do you give up the central pass pawn? Right? King d7, the only move, Hikaru says. King d7, knight c6, and a6? I mean, maybe there's hope that some rook is gonna go somewhere here, which just makes no sense, I think. Rook c4, a5 here, and b6. No, actually, Engine says it does make sense. I thought the knight on a7 is completely out of the game, but now that I start to think, so is the rook. So I wanted to use this d pawn. Actually, it's an idea even. A6. I think this has a decent chance to happen. But maybe Samro could be afraid to put the knight on a7. It's so bad. These are literally the worst squares you could put the knight. Here and here. There's no worse squares. King e8 is played. Okay. And now knight c6? What does it change? A6? And again knight a7? No? Rook c4, a5, b6. Some d4. Yeah, I see the bar with. Well, the alternative is to play rook c7 and bishop d7. It's so passive. Wait, can I play bishop d7 immediately? Ah, you play a5. Okay. Knight c6, rook c7. Let's say something like rook c1 to play knight e4. This is a threat. It kind of limits what black can do. Maybe there's some hope here. But this is a very strong pawn. So knight c6, rook c7, rook c1, a6. Oh, wait, how about we start with bishop d7? Knight e4, rook c... Ah, you can't do it. Takes, and rook c1. a6. Wait, can't you do it? Again, a5. I thought rook c4. Rook c4 takes, bishop b5, rook b4, rook a6. So why cannot win the pin, the knight at the bishop who is pinned because the back rank mate? Yeah, I'm always missing this idea of a5. All right. The good news is this tournament is slowly but consistently going to end at some point. Let's hope that Levy is going to figure things out. Looks pretty bad. He's playing passive, but Samrog could misplay this. I mean, he is a good positional player. So before the tournament, we talked with Levy that you should, against Samrog, you should take a calculated risk. This was my suggestion. Try to, dynamically somehow lead him in a complex position that you manage to navigate better. Because I noticed in Samrog's games is that he is usually not feeling well in that position. That's why, in this opening, I thought that he had to play something. The opening was a perfect success. Like, this e6, it goes against the character, like knight h6, or f6, or queen c7, f6. I'll play a bit more aggressive. I like knight h6 actually the most. It's just a very cool move. Somehow this set the tone on the queen h4 and... Now even this, all of this was pretty good. He's just not working the calculations properly. Like bishop c6 was an important move again. Make sure b4 is not working. A lot of things to do. Keep faith, people. All right. Yeah, we're going to talk about the next tournament with Levy. What's it going to be? I'm pretty sure we are going to make changes. Like, Levy has planned the match against Pia Cromling. Of course, nothing's going to change. He's going to play the match. But we should review the options for the planned tournament. And work hard for the next months. Just, take a break. Work hard. Find time for regular lessons. I'm going to bombard him with a lot of examples. To calculate things properly, etc. And then, a couple of months later, give it another try. Do I think that Matthew is asking, do I think Levy started the tournament scene too soon? No, I don't think so. I mean, Madrid was a success. New York IM Norm tournament was a success, right? And by our estimation, this tournament was supposed to be a success. Apparently it's not. Rook d1. He hits the pawn. You know, Levy's mindset should be, above everything, go active defense. Never go passive defense. If you have to sacrifice the pawn, sacrifice the pawn. Rook c5 or rook c4, I don't know, make active moves. I think he already played rook c5. So I think the video is a bit ahead. There we go. It's difficult to fight with these pawns. I think what some rook wants to do, he wants to play rook c1. And what do you do? Rook c4? Offer the trade. Oh, sorry. Create pass pawn. Push it forward. Activate the king if you can. So do these kinds of things. The rook on b6 is so bad. I mean, it's just doing literally nothing. It should have been somewhere here on c4. Yeah, this is a very strong move, rook c1. Yeah, it's quite difficult to suggest anything active in a very passive position. Okay, can I do this? Takes and play d4. I want to go here. I want to go here. Something. If you go there, I go here. If you go there, I go here. If you go there, I blunder a fork. Doesn't work. There's another move. Oh, sorry, let me adjust the video. King f1. Okay. Some rook activates the king. Can you play d4 to open up the bishop? Go for active defense. You can't. You need to improve the rook. Can you play rook b7? Rook b7 is played. Looks pretty human, but the position doesn't look good. Yeah, there's a question, not a question, but observation by Mr. Chuck on Twitch that Levy is constantly getting the defense because he's playing passive. He's not feeling well and he is playing passive. He doesn't play the active moves. The opening is completely fine. It has nothing to do with the opening. I mean, every single position he got after the opening in the Karakan was a very nice position. It's what happens after that. The issue is not the openings. Openings are fine. The issue is the decision making right after the opening. The issue is to calculate lines properly, not the openings. Caro is completely fine. I mean, in this game, he got a very nice position. It's just what happens after that. I mean, Rook C7 even is not working because there's Knight A6. Rook AC1. Okay. You gotta play Rook C4. Oh, wait. How about Rook C7? This might be a move. Knight C6 most likely. And yeah. Maybe Rook C4. Get some hope of activity. This is a mate threat, by the way. Again, white is dominating the board. This is like a different version of Levy's game against Kyron Griffith. Levy's not losing, he's just in trouble. He can still turn things around, but he needs to step up. Of course, this position has a realistic chance to become much worse. It definitely has. Okay, Rook C7. It does make sense. He's finally activating the pieces. It might be coming simply too late. And the engine, of course, is going to give it a mistake, most likely. So Knight C6, is it? This guy has no role in this game. All right, listen, I'm going to make a short break. Be back in a minute. Keep faith, people. Levy has to survive this. All right. Knight c6, rook c1. Can he actually go for the endgame after bishop d7? Can he do this? I have a feeling he can't enter the pawn endgame. Like king e2 takes and rook c6. Can he? Oh wait, he's in time, right? Okay. So bishop d7, king e2, bishop c6. Can I improve the position a bit? Can I play a6? Ah, Jesus. There's b6. Rook c6 and b7. You know, my idea was that if white plays something like this, take it. If white takes it, give up the pawn and activate the rook finally. No, you can't do it actually. No, this is looking pretty bad. I don't think he can do this. Where's the active plan? d4? Sell the pawn if you have to. d4, rook d1. Now play bishop d7. Knight e4, rook c4. Go for activity. Always go for activity. You know, we talked about this with Levy briefly. We really haven't worked a lot about defending. Use the example of Maxim Vashelograph. Typical example of Maxim is sack the pawn, hope that your opponent is gonna take the bait, and activate your pieces. So I call this like I'm selling the pawn for activity. And this is very often how strong players they get out of the trouble. So let's say white sees, oh, there's a pawn, right? Let me play rook d1. Let's collect the pawn. Then you play bishop d7. And you're like, wait, it's a free pawn, right? But the difference is suddenly you're getting pretty active. So a5 and rook a4 something, and you're just getting a very nice position. But some rook might not fall for this. And he just might go for activity like king e2, which is pretty decent move. So still bishop e3, I suppose. And maybe there's some tricks like a5 and bishop a4. With the idea that if you go here, I take on b5. And then I collect the knight on c6. And why is this winning for white? I quite do not understand, to be honest. Must be something, maybe just rook a1. And again, sacrifice the pawn. Get rid of this knight. Knight e4. Forget about the pawn on g2. Put the rook somewhere on c4. King d3. Rook b4. d4 is on the board. Levy's doing the right thing. He is doing the right thing. It might be too late. Game still continues. d4 is a good choice by Levy. Now let's hope that some rook is going to get greedy and collect the pawn. Because, I mean, this makes sense. It comes with the threat of rook d8. It is easy to miscalculate things. Like, maybe some rook thinks that here Levy wants to play d3. And after rook d3, play bishop c4, and maybe he's somewhere here, which by the way, also is a move. Yeah. Oh, that's very unfortunate. This is so unfortunate. So some rook might reject rook d1 because of the wrong reasons. I mean, there's d3, and you can't take it. This spins the rook. All right. Okay, then there's no chance he's gonna play rook d1. So yeah, king e2, activate the king. King e2, bishop e3, and rook a1. Could be still some tricks here. I wouldn't completely write down black's position. You just need to activate the pieces with the maximum effect. At least Levy understands that passive defense is dooming him. He's perfectly aware. Johnny is asking, do I think FIDE in the future will allow players to let the GM title with a faster time control? I mean, this is already happening. We discussed this the other day. There are titles on this FIDE arena or whatever is this thing. There are arena grandmasters, arena candidate masters. So it's already kind of a thing. But over the board, I'm not sure. We'll see. Maybe actually. Because something like how many years do we actually have those rapid and blitz ratings? I don't remember. 10 years? Before we just used to have classical ratings, so that's it. There was no FIDE rating for rapid and blitz. It was just a classical rating. Then things changed very quickly. So maybe. We need some help from Samrog. He is a pretty good positional player. King e2 is played. No help, not yet anyway. So you gotta try bishop b3, force the rook here. I mean, again, white's moves are pretty easy, unfortunately. So if white goes here, a5, I can't imagine how Samrog could not pick up this. By the way, this might be still playable. Same idea, b6. Takes, takes. And if you take it, play b7. If you play rook b6, white promotes. If you take on c1, white promotes. But there might be some issues with rook b7. So white can still miscalculate things. Although it's pretty obvious from my perspective. Bishop d5. f3, king d7, and king d3, Hikaru suggests. I suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, we're less. So what was it? Bishop d5? If white plays king d3, what happens? Same stuff? I don't think the pawn on g2 really matters in the grand scheme of things. Maybe. There's some hope still. Yeah, maybe indeed this is a pretty decent try. Or what about bishop? What was the line? Bishop b3, if you go rook a1, and now play bishop. Ah, but now there's no pin, yeah? So knight e4. And play rook c4 and king d3, and this bishop is still pretty useless. Yeah, so maybe this is actually a pretty good try. f3. King d7, and hope that white is not going to go king d3. Because knight b8, this by the way is not so clear. Takes, takes, knight a6, king b6. And actually black is suddenly starting to feel pretty good. So bishop d5, f3, king d7, king d3. There's no time for a6, unfortunately. Knight b8 is always there. Takes. Rook c6 probably is more precise. I think this is the best chance. That hope that Samrock is not going to go here. Bishop b3 and king d2. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's a nice move. He ignored the pawn on a4. He didn't play rook a1. So his idea is to dominate the bishop. But is this, by the way, so clear? I take it and I go... But is this so clear? I'm not so sure. I don't buy this. It looks cool. So my idea is knight f5, play king e6. Go for activity. Knight g7, king e5. Always go for activity. Activate your pieces. You can't trap the bishop because I put the bishop on d1. It looks pretty bad, but the knight on d4 is like dominating, but at the same time, it's also the pawn on b5 is a weakness. Wait. I don't buy this, that this is so bad. Just a second. So, unless I'm missing something super obvious, the pawn on b5 is under attack. I mean, white's gotta take, right? White's gotta take. There's also rook d7, by the way. But let's check this line. So king d7. Let's say white plays some super obvious move, and I play, whatever, f4. White activates the king, white activates the king, and puts the knight on c6. That's pretty strong. Takes, 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 takes. And white just marches with a king on c5. That is a very powerful idea. Can I run to the b pawn? Forget about the king side. King a3, bishop d1 is the only move. King b4. Yeah, I can't do it. I think rook d7, but then the bishop might be trapped in some lines. Rook d7, threatens with bishop b5, threatens to take the knight. King c3 probably. And something like this. Rook a1. Wait, I'm just taking on b4. What I'm doing. Wait. So rook d2, maybe king e3. And I go here. Why should I be losing? There's no rook. Yeah. I haven't seen so passive Levy in a long time. Yeah, white's plan is very easy. King goes to c5, knight c6, collect the pawn. The knight dominates the bishop. No, he didn't have to trade the rooks. The only chance was to keep the rooks on the board. And then after king e3 or king c3, play rook d5. The only chance. And then he plays g6. Yeah, it's... Can I try to play a6? Sacrifice the pawn? Oh, wait, here they play king d7. Yeah, you can't do it. King a3, bishop d1, king b4. But there's good news. Yes, the tournament is brutal. So half half a point out of 5 or half a point out of 6. It is brutal. He's just not playing good chess. He was doing the best he could in this game, but he played very passive. And the thing is, there's 3 more games. 3 games to survive. Yeah, these moves are on the board. Bishop d1. No. I don't think he's gonna withdraw. Guys, what are you talking about? He has to fight. He has to fight. So obviously he's losing a bunch of rating points. There's another round, exactly, later today in 2.5 hours. Levy's gonna play with white against Liam Putnam. Why this is hopeless? Because the knight on d4 is clearly dominating the bishop. White has king c5, knight c6, and the pawn on a7 is falling. Yeah, the format is brutal. Yes, it is. When you're doing badly, and you get a brutal format, it is what it is. But again, Levy will recover. Unfortunately, the suffering continues. He will recover. So we have to somehow have to get to the end of this tournament. Rethink the planned tournaments. Maybe not play in tournaments for the next couple of months. Okay, the match against Kramnik obviously is going to happen, but not play after that, like for the next 4 months maybe. Work hard several times a day. Give a lot of examples. Mentally restore the balance. And then come back with refreshed look. And just forget this tournament. Maybe a couple of months. I don't know. We're going to discuss this after New York. We're going to discuss this. So, obviously, during the tournament, no need. But after the tournament, we're going to make all the necessary conclusions. Yeah, there's no tricks. I agree. There's no tricks. I mean, white's just marching forward. Black is just silently watching. The only idea I can think of is somehow, if the knight goes to a7, sell the bishop for the pawn, march with the king forward, and eat these pawns. Like, for example, some scenario. Let me just show you some scenario. It's not going to happen. Like, king goes here. Let's say, knight c6 here. Why is it lagging? Knight a7 here. Find the moment. Somehow find the moment to give up the bishop for the pawn. You see how ridiculous it is, right? So this is what could be some dream scenario for Levy, you know? Give up the bishop for the passed pawn, use the king to collect these pawns, and then escape. But again, this is such a pretty obvious plan. Also, by the way, there's king a5, king a6, king a7. Keep the knight on d4, which is shouldering the black king. It's imprisoned. The bishop on d1 is completely dominated by the knight. e6 probably is winning. Knight c6, king b7, knight e8. Knight c6 seems to be pretty straightforward. Knight c6, a6, b6. King b7. King c8, maybe. And here. And here. And hope that white is going to somehow hallucinate things and go here. f3. Okay. Engine marks this as a mistake, but I don't think it really matters. I mean, black has little in the Zugzwang here. All right. So 5 minutes for Levy. I think the idea is the Zugzwang. Like after bishop d1, now he wants to play knight c6. The point is a6 no longer works. The bishop is gone from a4, hitting the knight. And after king b7, there's knight e8. Collect the pawn, the bishop is useless. Put the knight on d6, e4 marches forward. By the way, very instructive. So maybe f4. Levy could try to sell the pawn and hope that Samrook is going to be busy eating the pawn, which probably is good anyway. The 4 is on the board. I think there's e6, knight e6, and knight f4, which, by the way, would be pretty good news to Levy, because this would allow him to activate the pieces. Can he somehow draw this? He can, but he needs a massive help from the opponent. He can. Like, let's say the opponent starts to misplay the position. He does play e6. So let's say e6 and... No, but it's still pretty good, by the way. Here, and let's say he takes the pawn on f4. And then somehow he misplays and he goes after the pawn. Let's say he goes here, and he goes here, and he goes here, and he goes here. Now you give up the bishop and hope that it's going to be enough to use the king to kill those pawns. Because if white is left with only one knight, you can't win this position. So technically, yeah, he can save, but it doesn't look very likely. I mean, from a tournament standpoint, it doesn't really change a lot. So Levy has half a point out of 4. Now he has, sorry, half a point out of 5. Now he has half a point out of 6. He's just losing rating points. So at the moment, I think he has, if he's going to lose this game, he has already lost like 22 points. Basically everything he won in the New York IM Norm tournament. Again, but not a tragedy, right? So it's like we're set back before the New York IM Norm tournament. Like in New York, he won 20 points, and here he's losing 20 points. So New York is 0, right? It like never happened, but he's getting a lot of lessons. He's going to be fine. He is going to be fine. Here they said this. He's not as demoralized as people would think. He just knows he's not playing well. He will be fine. Psychological loss is worse than the point loss. He will recover after that as well. H4. Okay. Aleppo Gambit says on YouTube, you need to learn to lose if you want to learn to win. Yeah. That was a quote by Michael Jordan. I have no idea who said it. I just read what was written in the chat. It's a pretty cool quote. Oh my goodness. Some negative comments in the chat. I mean, come on, people. Smile. Life is good. Life is good. Everybody is so negative. I mean, not everyone. There's many negative comments. Why are you so negative? Okay, king d7. So now maybe he wants to activate the king and then sacrifice the bishop and try to eat these pawns. Good try. Yeah, I wish I had the better news for the 20,000 people, by the way. Huge shout out to all of you. And thank you for watching this. I just wish we had better news to you today. But yeah, officially, this is going to be the worst tournament Levy has ever played. I don't think it's possible to do worse. There's that. Okay. By the way, I told you about this story the other day about Shirov playing once in a tournament. There was a close tournament. It was a rapid tournament. Doesn't matter. Shirov finished with only half a point out of 9. Do you think he doesn't know how to play chess? Do you think that he was not aware that it was a terrible tournament? It just something just didn't click, you know. Somehow everything combined together, and it was what it was, right? You get in a bad rhythm, and it is what it is. Same is for Levy. I mean, for Levy, nothing really dramatically changes. Like I already said, half a point out of 5 or half a point out of 6. It doesn't change. The tournament is a disaster, right? It doesn't change. He's just praying the tournament finishes. He is doing his best he can with the current mindset. He is doing. It's just not working. So guys, cheer up. Yeah, indeed, and time will heal all the wounds from the tournament. Okay, he tries to play g5. I guess he wants to play king e6, king g5, give up the bishop and do something. Good try. Why not? Yeah, Summer, of course, he's nervous. He feels the victory is close. He is nervous. H6 on G5, okay. One pawn less. He feels he's pretty close to win the game, and he's probably correct. King E6 will be played by Levy. Levy has found something. So here, most likely will be played. Are those my chess trophies behind you? Now, what do you think? It's a green screen? Actually, I was using green screen at some time ago when I was streaming. I had a very nice suit behind me. That was not my suit. Yes, Levy will play again today. And again, he will do his best. He'll keep coming back. Bishop c2. Ah, this is what he wants. Okay, this is the idea. All right, I thought he's gonna go with the king. All right. B6 here, B7, king C7. I'm not gonna do any analysis. It's losing everywhere, but let's just watch the final moments of this game. B6, well played. All right. Levy found an idea. Do I know what will be my awards after the game? To Levy? No, just... I'll just say probably let's get together to the end of the tournament, and that's it. Yeah, so again, like I already said, with this loss, and it's incoming, Levy is about losing all the gained rating points from the New York IM North tournament with a lot of very painful lessons. Yeah, B7 is a big threat, so King C8, Knight E6, Knight F7, two pass pawns, win the game for white. But again, like I already said, good news, only 3 games. Only 3 games left in this terrible tournament for Levy. He resigns, okay. All right, that's it. Okay, fine, yes. He did his best. And let's just move on. Let's move on. Move on. Forget his game. Stupid tournament. Everything is gonna be good. All right. So the very short recap of what happened in this game is that mainly the problem was that Levy was very passive, and Levy was passive because he's not playing well. He's not feeling well, right? So that's why I don't think it's really so important for me again to go through the details here. He could have played some more active choices. He was good. He was doing okay. He was having a very nice position, controlling things, but somewhere around here, yeah, he started to become very passive, and here he panicked. He didn't play bishop c6 because of b4, and I think that he was simply not calculating things properly. So bishop e6, he started to miss moves. Again, another passive move, and here it was very difficult. That's it. Yeah, so Samarok played a very nice game overall. Levy, again, is a bit unrecognizable, to say the least. So from a tournament standpoint, half a point out of 5, half point out of 6, whatever. Yeah. So rating is bleeding, of course, but the work is going to continue. So I would like to thank all of you who are still, despite the fact that Levy has officially the worst possible tournament ever. You know, I want to thank you with all my heart. Thank you for being so amazing that you support, right? And we're going to try to remain positive because there's nothing else we can do, right? What can we else do except being positive and smile that things are not working our way, and we're going to keep working. One more game later today. It starts at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is exactly midnight, Central European Summer Time. So for me, it's going to be 1 a.m. We'll be coming back. So let's just keep fighting until the end together, and find a way to overcome this terrible tournament and score at least one decent game, one decent victory. That's I think if Levy is gonna do this, like score at least one victory for the soul, this could be very important. So he'll be coming back again. So once again, thank you for your support, and have a